Dear friends, when the body becomes sick, you give it rest, you take medicine, you try to bring it back into balance. But have you ever asked yourself, what happens when the mind becomes sick, when the mind becomes heavy, filled with too many thoughts, too much noise, too many worries? We carry the body into hospitals when it breaks, but the mind we continue to drag through life without ever cleansing it. This is why we must learn how to detox the mind. The mind is like water. When the water is calm, it reflects everything clearly. You can see the sky, the moon, the stars inside it. But when the water is stirred, when it is full of dirt, it cannot reflect anything. The same happens with your thoughts. A restless mind cannot see truth. It cannot see opportunity. It cannot see peace. To detox the mind means to remove the unnecessary, to bring stillness, to allow clarity to return. Ask yourself, how many of the thoughts you think every day are really yours? How many are placed there by others, by media, by comparison, by fear? Every day you are absorbing information, worries, noise from outside. If you never let go, it builds up inside like poison. Detoxing the mind is not about adding more. It is about taking away. It is about emptying so space can appear. Only in space new life can grow. Silence is medicine. Breathing with awareness is medicine. Moving the body with attention is medicine. Do not look for complicated ways. The mind does not need more complication, it needs simplicity. Walk slowly, breathe deeply, sit quietly. In these small practices, you begin to wash away the unnecessary. You begin to see which thoughts are useful and which thoughts are only draining your energy. Some people believe strength is only in muscles. But the true strength begins with the mind. A strong mind is not one that carries everything. A strong mind is one that knows what to let go. Imagine if you carried every stone you found on the road. Very soon you would collapse. Yet this is what most people do with thoughts and emotions. Detox means put the stones down. Walk lighter. When you cleanse the mind, you begin to see life as it really is. You begin to taste food more deeply, to hear music more clearly, to feel gratitude more naturally. Joy is not something you need to chase. Joy is already here, but it is covered by too much noise. Remove the noise and joy shines by itself. A cluttered mind cannot see clearly. Detoxing creates space for clarity. When the mind is full, it is like a room where too many things are kept. You try to move inside, but there is no space. You try to find something, but everything is hidden under piles of unnecessary objects. The room is there, the space is there, but it is blocked. In the same way, the mind is filled with thoughts that are not serving you, filled with worries from yesterday, filled with fears of tomorrow. And then when you try to see the present moment, you cannot see it. The clutter covers it completely. Every day we are receiving thousands of impressions, words, images, sounds. Most of them are not important, but the mind holds on to them. Someone says something negative to you, and instead of letting it go, you carry it all day. You scroll through news or social media, and most of what you see does not benefit you. Yet you allow it to take root in your thoughts. Over time, this builds into a heavy mental fog. You lose focus, you lose energy, and slowly you even lose the ability to know what is truly important. This is what a cluttered mind does. It steals your clarity. Think of a glass of water. If you drop soil and dirt into it, the water becomes cloudy. You can no longer see through it. But the water has not disappeared. Its purity is still there. It is just hidden. If you leave the glass still, if you allow the dirt to settle, slowly the water becomes clear again. This is what detoxing the mind is about. It is not about creating clarity. The clarity is already inside you. It is about removing or letting settle what is not needed, so the natural clarity of your mind can return. When the mind is cluttered, decisions become difficult. You stand in front of two doors and you are afraid to open either. You start to think of every possible outcome, every possible risk, and you become paralyzed. But when the mind is clean, the path shows itself. You see more directly, you trust your choice, and you move forward. Clarity does not mean you know the entire journey. It means you see the next step with confidence. Detoxing the mind can be simple. It can begin with one breath. Inhale deeply, exhale fully, and notice how even this small action creates space. Thoughts are like visitors, they come and go. But a cluttered mind tries to hold on to every visitor, even the ones that bring trouble. A mind that is detoxed learns to welcome the visitor, but also to let them leave. Not every thought deserves a place to stay. Sometimes people confuse business with productivity. They think that by filling the mind with more, they are achieving more. But the opposite is true. The busier the mind, the less effective you become. The greatest ideas do not come from noise, they come from silence. The greatest strength does not come from tension, it comes from relaxation. When you clean your mind, you allow creativity, wisdom, and peace to flow naturally. One way to begin detoxing is to observe your own thoughts without judgment. Sit quietly and watch them, as if you are watching clouds pass across the sky. Some clouds are dark, some are light, some move fast, some move slowly. But the sky itself remains untouched. You are that sky, and your thoughts are only passing clouds. When you understand this, you stop clinging to them. The space returns, and with it comes clarity. Another way is to simplify your daily life. Too many choices, too much information, too many distractions create mental clutter. When you choose simplicity, you are not losing anything. You are gaining space. And in that space, you will discover energy, focus, and peace you did not know you had. Clarity is not something far away. It is already present, waiting underneath the clutter. Just like sunlight hidden behind clouds, it is always shining. Detox your mind, let the clouds move away, and the light will appear. A cluttered mind cannot see clearly, but once you create space, clarity returns and life becomes lighter. Letting go of unnecessary thoughts is the highest form of strength. Many people believe that strength means to hold on, to endure, to carry as much as possible without breaking. But true strength is not in how much you carry, it is in knowing what you no longer need to carry. To let go of what weighs you down is not weakness, it is wisdom. It takes more courage to release than to cling, because the mind is trained to hold. It is trained to repeat, to store, to keep alive even the things that no longer serve us. Look at the way most people live. They carry words that were spoken to them years ago. They carry mistakes they made long in the past. They carry anger, jealousy, comparison, and disappointment. These thoughts sit inside the mind like stones in a bag. At first the weight feels manageable, but as life continues, the bag becomes heavier and heavier, and then they wonder why they feel tired, why they feel hopeless, why life feels like a burden. It is not life that is heavy, it is the load they are carrying inside their minds. To let go does not mean to forget. It does not mean that experiences never happened. It means you are choosing not to suffer twice. Pain comes once, but by holding on to the memory, you invite pain again and again. Strength is the ability to accept that what has passed cannot be changed, and to free yourself from reliving it. This is how you create space for the present moment. Imagine holding a cup full of water. If you hold it for a minute, it is easy. If you hold it for an hour, your arm begins to ache. If you hold it for a day, it becomes unbearable. The weight of the cup never changed. What changed was the length of time you held on to it. Thoughts are like this cup. One negative thought may not destroy you, but if you refuse to let go, it becomes heavier with time. The strength is not in holding longer, the strength is in putting the cup down. When you practice letting go, you will notice something powerful. Your energy begins to return. Suddenly the same day that felt overwhelming becomes lighter. Your ability to focus improves. Your capacity to feel joy increases. All because you are no longer wasting energy on what does not matter. Thoughts are energy. When you feed unnecessary thoughts, you drain yourself. When you release them, You empower yourself. Letting go also teaches humility. It shows you that not everything must be controlled. So much of mental suffering comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. The past cannot be undone. The future cannot be predicted perfectly. The actions of others cannot be forced. The only thing you can truly guide is your own state of mind. When you understand this, you stop fighting battles that cannot be won, and you begin to experience peace. There will always be situations that try to pull you back into old patterns of thinking. There will always be people who say things that hurt. There will always be challenges that stir emotions. But the question is, do you want to allow these thoughts to take space inside you, or do you choose to let them go? The choice is always yours. And every time you choose to release, you are strengthening your mind. Letting go does not make you empty in a negative way. It makes you open. Just as a hand that is always clenched cannot receive anything new, a mind that is always holding on cannot receive fresh energy, new insights, or genuine peace. By releasing, you create space for growth. You create space for clarity. You create space for true strength to appear. The highest strength is not to fight with every thought, not to wrestle with every memory, but to let go of the ones that do not serve you and walk forward with a lighter heart. Silence and stillness are the natural medicine for the restless mind. In the world today, almost everything pulls your attention outward. Sounds, messages, notifications, conversations, responsibilities, they all call for your energy. From the moment you wake up, your senses are flooded with stimulation. You are hearing, seeing, speaking, thinking, and rarely do you give yourself a chance to pause. And so the mind begins to spin faster and faster, like a wheel that never stops turning. The result is restlessness, anxiety, and confusion. To heal this, the mind does not need more noise. It does not need more distraction. It needs silence. It needs stillness. Think about a pond of water. If you throw stones into it constantly, the water will never be calm. Waves will keep moving, ripples will keep spreading, and you will never see the reflection of the sky. But if you stop throwing stones, if you allow the pond to be still, it slowly settles and becomes clear again. Your mind works in the same way. Silence and stillness allow the ripples of constant thought to fade away, and slowly clarity returns. This is why silence is a medicine, because it heals the damage caused by endless stimulation. Some people fear silence. They associate it with emptiness or loneliness. But silence is not empty. Silence is full. It is full of life, full of awareness, full of strength. In silence, you begin to hear what is real. You hear the sound of your own breath. You feel the beating of your heart. You notice the energy moving within you. You reconnect to what has always been there, but was hidden under noise. Stillness is not absence. Stillness is presence. When you are still, the mind begins to settle into its natural rhythm. Just like the body knows how to heal when you give it rest, the mind knows how to heal when you give it silence. But if you never allow stillness, the mind never gets the chance to recover. It keeps working, it keeps spinning, and eventually it becomes exhausted. Restlessness is not strength. It is a sign that silence is missing. To practice silence and stillness does not require you to escape the world. You do not need to live in the mountains or close your eyes forever. You can practice it in small ways. When you wake up, sit for a few minutes without speaking, without checking anything, and just breathe. When you are walking, slow down and notice the steps you are taking. When you are eating, remove distraction and just taste the food. These small acts of stillness are like drops of medicine for the restless mind. Slowly they build balance. In silence, many truths begin to reveal themselves. You begin to notice how many of your thoughts are unnecessary. You begin to see how often you react automatically without awareness. You begin to realize that peace is not something you need to search for. It is already within you, waiting under the surface. Stillness removes the layers that hide this peace. Modern life often teaches that more is better. More information, more talking, more activity. But the mind cannot grow in endless noise. Just like a seed needs still soil and quiet conditions to grow roots, your mind needs silence to grow deeper. Without stillness, growth is shallow and unstable. With stillness, it becomes steady and grounded. Some of the most powerful moments in life are experienced in silence. Standing under a night sky full of stars. Watching the ocean waves move in and out. Sitting with someone you love without needing to speak. These moments remind you that silence is not absence, it is connection at the deepest level. It is in these moments that the restless mind finally rests, and you remember what it means to simply be. Silence and stillness are not weaknesses. They are the true foundations of strength. They give you the ability to act with clarity instead of reaction, to see with focus instead of confusion, to live with peace instead of constant struggle. The restless mind is healed not by adding more, but by returning to silence and stillness, the natural medicine that has always been within reach. True freedom begins when you stop carrying mental burdens that are not yours. Every day, without realizing, people pick up the weight of other people's words, emotions, and expectations. They carry the anger of someone else. They carry the pressure placed upon them by society. They carry the fear projected by those around them. Slowly, these burdens collect inside the mind and create chains that are not visible but are very heavy. You may think you are walking free, but in truth, you are walking under the weight of what never belonged to you in the first place. When you carry what is not yours, you lose sight of your own path. Imagine walking on a road with a clear destination in mind, but along the way, people keep handing you bags to hold. Out of habit or politeness, you accept them. At first it feels like nothing, but after some time, the weight becomes unbearable. The road feels longer, your steps become slower, and you start to question if you can reach your destination at all. Life feels like this when the mind is filled with burdens that belong to others. The bags are not yours, yet you are the one struggling under them. Freedom does not mean having no responsibility. It means carrying only what is truly your responsibility. The pain of others can be witnessed with compassion, but it is not yours to hold inside forever. The expectations of society may exist, but they do not define who you are unless you allow them to. Fear can surround you, but it does not have to live within you. The choice to carry or to release is always yours. Many people believe that holding on to the burdens of others is a sign of care. They confuse attachment with compassion. True compassion does not mean making yourself heavy. It means staying light so you can lift others when needed. If you drown under their weight, you cannot help anyone. To remain clear, you must learn to give back what is not yours. You can listen, you can support, but you do not need to internalize everything. Mental burdens can also come from comparison. When you constantly compare your life to others, you are carrying their stories inside your own mind. You measure your value against their achievements, their possessions, their paths. This comparison creates chains that keep you from walking freely on your own journey. The truth is, no one can walk your path for you, and you cannot walk theirs. To detox your mind, you must release the weight of comparison and return to your own steps. Sometimes the heaviest burdens come from the past, from voices that told you what you should be, what you must achieve, how you must live. If you are still carrying those voices, you are not living your own life. You are living under the shadow of someone else's expectations. Freedom begins when you decide to listen to your own inner voice, the voice that guides you toward your truth. Letting go of what is not yours does not make you selfish. It makes you wise. Because when your mind is light, you have more space for creativity, for peace, for love. You no longer waste energy fighting battles that do not belong to you. You no longer lose sleep over worries that were never your own. You begin to see clearly where your responsibility ends and where another's responsibility begins. That clarity is the essence of freedom. Life becomes lighter when you release these mental burdens. Your steps become faster, your vision becomes sharper, and your heart becomes calmer. You realize that freedom is not something to be given by others. It is something you give to yourself by choosing not to carry what was never meant for you. True freedom begins not by adding more, but by putting down the burdens that were never yours to carry. A clean mind reflects life as it truly is, without distortion. When the mind is filled with noise, fears, and endless thoughts, reality is no longer seen as it is, but as the mind imagines it to be. A restless mind takes a simple situation and paints it with layers of doubt, with shadows of past pain, with colors of unnecessary fear. In this way, you are no longer living life as it is, you are living life as your cluttered mind perceives it. To detox the mind is to wipe away this fog, to polish the mirror, and to let life reflect itself clearly. Think of looking into a mirror that is covered with dust. You cannot see your face clearly. The mirror is not broken, the reflection is still there, but the dust hides it. In the same way, when the mind is filled with unnecessary thoughts, you cannot see life as it is. You see through the dust. Every moment, every decision, every interaction is filtered by this dust. A clean mind does not add anything, it simply shows things exactly as they are. When the mind is clean, you stop overcomplicating life. A challenge appears, and instead of reacting with panic or fear, you see it for what it is. Problems are no longer monsters, they are simply tasks to be handled. Opportunities are no longer invisible, they become clear in front of you. Relationships no longer feel like endless misunderstandings, because a clean mind sees beyond assumptions and judgments. It sees the other person as they are, not as the mind imagines them to be. A clean mind allows you to experience the present moment fully. You taste food more deeply, because you are not distracted. You listen to music with more joy, because you are not lost in thought. You speak to others with more presence, because you are not rehearsing what to say or replaying what was already said. In this way, life becomes richer. It is not that the world has changed, it is that your perception has been cleaned. Most of the suffering in life comes not from reality itself, but from the way the mind interprets it. The rain is simply rain, but the mind may call it a problem, an inconvenience, or even a punishment. The traffic is simply traffic, but the mind may fill it with anger, frustration, and impatience. When the mind is cluttered, small things appear as big suffering. But when the mind is clean, you see them as they are. Just rain, just traffic, just passing moments. Clarity does not mean ignoring difficulties. It means you face them without adding unnecessary weight. A clean mind looks directly, acts directly, and moves forward. It does not waste energy spinning in circles of overthinking. In this way, clarity becomes the greatest source of strength, because you are no longer distracted by illusions created by your own thoughts. Detoxing the mind to achieve this clarity can be simple. Breathing slowly, and with awareness clears away scattered thoughts. Sitting in silence allows the noise to fade. Journaling can take the burden of thoughts out of your head and onto paper. Even walking quietly in nature can sweep away mental dust. These small practices polish the mirror of the mind, and little by little, reflection becomes clearer. A clean mind is also a peaceful mind. When you are not caught in distorted thoughts, you stop fighting with life. You stop fighting with yourself. You stop resisting what is. Peace is not created, it is uncovered. It is always there, hidden under layers of clutter. By cleaning the mind, you reveal the peace that was always waiting inside you. When you begin to see life as it truly is, you also begin to live more truthfully. You are not acting out of fear or confusion. You are acting out of clarity. This makes your choices more powerful, your relationships more authentic, and your life more meaningful. A clean mind reflects life as it truly is, without distortion, and in that reflection you rediscover peace, joy, and the strength to walk your path with clarity. Detoxing the mind is not adding more. It is removing what does not serve you. Many people believe that to improve their mind, they must fill it with more knowledge, more techniques, more strategies, more activities. But imagine a cup already full of water. If you keep pouring more into it, it overflows and creates a mess. The first step is not to add. The first step is to empty. The same is true with the mind. It is not about how much more you can put inside. It is about how much unnecessary weight you can release. Life constantly feeds the mind. Every conversation, every image, every sound, every responsibility leaves its mark. If you are not careful, the mind becomes like a storage room where everything is kept, useful or not. Over time, this storage fills up with broken things, old things, useless things, and yet you continue to add more. No matter how beautiful the new items may be, if the room is cluttered, nothing can be placed properly. Detoxing the mind is like cleaning that room. You remove what is broken, you release what no longer serves a purpose, and you create space for what is meaningful. To remove is more powerful than to add. When you take away the constant distractions, silence appears. When you remove the constant negative self-talk, confidence appears. When you release the attachment to the past, peace appears. These qualities were always there. They did not need to be added. They only needed space to shine. This is why detoxing is about subtraction, not addition. Ask yourself, how many of your daily thoughts truly serve you? How many are repeating old stories? How many are based on fear? How many are just noise created by habit? Most of them are not useful, yet you allow them to take space and energy. If you learn to let them go, suddenly the mind becomes lighter. What remains is clarity, focus, and strength. People often confuse busyness with progress. They think by filling the mind with constant stimulation, they are growing. But true growth is not found in excess. A mind overloaded with information cannot reflect clearly. A body overloaded with food cannot digest properly. In both cases, too much creates imbalance. Simplicity is what brings balance back. Detoxing the mind is simply learning to live with less noise and more awareness. This practice can be felt even in small actions. When you are sitting quietly and thoughts arise, instead of following every thought, you can choose to let some go. When you are about to argue over something that does not matter, you can choose to remain silent. When you are tempted to take on tasks that drain you, you can choose to say no. Each of these choices is an act of removal. Each of them is a form of mental detox. By letting go of what does not serve you, you also protect your energy. Thoughts consume energy. Worries consume energy. Regret consumes energy. If you hold on to them, you will feel exhausted even without moving. But when you release them, your energy returns. Then you can direct it toward actions and goals that truly matter. This is how removing becomes more powerful than adding, because it restores what was already inside you. When the mind is filled with too much, you cannot hear your own inner voice. It gets lost in the noise. But once you begin to detox, the inner guidance becomes clearer. You start to know which choices are right for you. You begin to feel aligned with your own path, and you stop living according to unnecessary expectations. Detoxing is not about becoming empty in a negative sense. It is about becoming free. A free mind is not heavy with clutter. It moves lightly. It adapts. It sees clearly. It is like a clear sky after the storm clouds have passed. Nothing has been added, but everything becomes brighter. Detoxing the mind is not about adding more. It is about removing what does not serve you, so that the natural clarity and peace within can shine without effort. A clear mind leads to a clear path, and a clear path leads to peace. When the mind is clouded, every direction looks confusing. You stand at a crossroads and doubt yourself again and again. Should you go left or right? Should you take action or wait? Should you trust yourself or not? The more you think, the less you see. Confusion comes not because the path is missing, but because the mind is filled with fog. When you begin to detox the mind, when you let go of what is unnecessary, the fog slowly lifts, and suddenly the path that was hidden becomes visible. Clarity does not mean that the entire journey is shown to you. It simply means that you can see the next step clearly enough to take it with confidence. Imagine driving a car at night. Your headlights do not show the whole road, they show only a small distance ahead. But that is enough to keep moving forward. The same is true for the mind. You do not need to see the end, you only need clarity for the next step. Without a clear mind, even the first step feels impossible. With a clear mind, the journey unfolds naturally, one step at a time. Many people get stuck because their minds are filled with too many voices. The voice of fear says one thing, the voice of doubt says another, the voice of past failure repeats itself, and the voice of comparison shouts loudly. With so many voices, how can you hear the quiet, but steady voice of your own truth? When you detox the mind, these voices begin to fade. What remains is a calm inner guidance that shows you where to walk. That guidance is always present, but it cannot be heard through noise. A clear path does not mean a path without obstacles. Life will always bring challenges. But clarity allows you to see the obstacle for what it is and to respond wisely. Without clarity, a small stone looks like a mountain. With clarity, even a mountain looks like a challenge you can climb step by step. The obstacle does not change, but your vision changes, and that changes everything. The reason a clear path leads to peace is because uncertainty is one of the greatest causes of suffering. When the mind is unclear, you waste energy in hesitation. You walk forward, then backward, then sideways, and you feel exhausted. But once you have clarity, your steps are steady. You no longer waste energy in doubt. Peace comes not from the absence of difficulty, but from the presence of direction. Detoxing the mind to reach this clarity is about removing distractions. It is about letting go of the unnecessary thoughts that block your vision. When you practice stillness, when you release burdens that are not yours, when you choose silence over noise, the mind slowly clears. And just as water becomes transparent when the dirt settles, your path becomes visible when the mental clutter settles. Peace is not somewhere far away waiting to be found. Peace is a natural result of clarity. When you know where you are going, when your steps feel aligned with your inner truth, the heart becomes calm. Even in the middle of storms, even when challenges appear, the calm remains because you are not lost. You are walking your path with awareness. It is not the number of steps you take that matters, it is the clarity behind each step. One clear step is more powerful than 100 steps taken in confusion. One step in alignment brings more peace than running in circles with no direction. The journey of life is long, but it becomes beautiful when the path is seen clearly. A clear mind leads to a clear path, and a clear path leads to peace. The peace that gives you strength to continue walking forward with trust in yourself and in life. Life becomes lighter, more meaningful, and more peaceful when the mind is free from unnecessary weight. Detoxing the mind is not about escaping the world. It is about seeing it more clearly, living it more deeply, and walking it more truthfully. By releasing clutter, letting go of what is not yours, embracing silence, and choosing clarity, you create space for strength, wisdom, and peace to guide your steps. The power you seek is not outside. It has always been inside, waiting for the mind to become still and clear. So carry forward this awareness. Cleanse your mind daily as you cleanse your body, and allow your true self to shine without distortion. May your path be filled with clarity. May your heart remain light, and may peace walk with you in every moment of your journey. Good luck on your path ahead, and thank you for listening with an open mind and open heart.